Folks, hello. Welcome to Tavern Chat. This is yet another part of our series on the OSR. And you can watch them in any order. It's not like we're going to test you on this. Be fun if we did. But this episode is going to be not on what the OSR is, it's what the OSR isn't, right? There's myths, beliefs of what the OSR is. And we're going to address some of them. There might be ones that I miss. And if so, leave them in the comments. Maybe I'll do an update. Maybe I'll do a follow up. So, myth one, the OSR is just nostalgia. These old effing grognards don't want to play anything new. They can't adjust to it, so they got to play old games. No. Listen, yes, many of us. I didn't start out with basic. I started out with AD&D 1E. That's a huge part of my love for it. Right. I love role playing games in general, but that's where my focus is. Um, but the OSR is about using those foundations of creative rulings, right? Like rulings over rules, player agency, um, avoiding, unless you're playing Dragonlance, right? Avoiding the railroad. Um, it's a different play experience that from modern D&D. I'm not saying that you can't play modern D&D, and whether you consider modern D&D to be 5e 2024 or 2014, the different games. That's a whole other. But um, you can play in an OSR style with those if you really tweak the engine, but then you're not playing the engine that you thought you were, right? So then there's another myth that the OSR is a unified thing. Well, in a way it is, because it's a marketing tool, right? If you go on Drive Through RPG and you look at the OSR tag, it's a marketing tool. There, Zweihander. Why is Zweihander OSR? It's not. But they claim they are, and therefore under community content, all their stuff is numbers 1 through 1,000 because they are the OSR community content. There's probably no community content in the OSR because it's all community content. So it's not one unified thing, and it can be inspired by what? White box? We all think of Swords and Wizardry when we come to that, and the little book, the little brown books that came with it, or after it. It can be inspired by BX or BECME, right? Labyrinth Lord. OSE is a huge one these days. It can be inspired by AD&D, Osric, uh, Old School Essentials, what Advanced, Labyrinth Lord Advanced. This hacks Swords and Wizardry Complete. Those all kind of sort of emulate what you would expect from AD&D. Then you have games like Hyperborea, which is definitely OSR, but takes it to a different level. It's not one unified thing, and I can even go on to things that are what we can consider adjacent or quasi OSR. But we'll get to that. And yes, I'm using some show notes, some bullet points. I know you're not used to that from me, but if I don't, this series is gonna just burn in hell. There's just too much content for me to limit the capacity up here to keep it where I need and to keep it organized. So, and of course, the OSR to a large extent is about house ruling, right? And that's why we love the quote simpler rule sets because you can house rule them without breaking them. Another myth: The OSRs got anti-new. We don't like new stuff. You take your advantage, disadvantage, and shove it up your pile. I don't want to hear about it. All right, well, there's some, but it's not quite that way because we like the cleaner presentation, right? I mean, I Labyrinth Lord. Yes, some of the appeal to the Labyrinth Lord initially was ate the feel of basic D&D and its presentation. But oh my God, OSC is so much simpler to reference and use and read. And that's a modern presentation. Um, yes, you can make your stuff look 40 years old. I don't think it, or 50 years old. I don't think it really helps the presentation these days. You know, maybe it's just me, but and we're no longer like using cutouts and gluing stuff to a page to do our layout. It's all being done in software and InDesign and the likes, and we're better for it. So OSR is lethal. You will die. Why play an OSR game? Your character will be dead in the first 15, 20 minutes. If you play an OSR game with the mindset that you're playing 5e, yes, that's quite likely what's going to happen to you. But that's not the point of the OSR. The point of the OSR is to make things challenging, right? Because if you get in, everybody in your class gets an A just for showing up for class. Sure, it helps your GPA. Did you learn anything? No. Do you feel like you earned it? No. Everybody gets a participation award. Did you earn it? No. With OSR games, you earn your level progression. I played in Joe the Lawyer's 2E game. We joked by the book. He house ruled the shit out of it. But in any case, it went on for 2 years of mostly playing 2 or 3 times a month. And my character, I believe, reached 8th level as a priest, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, now if I was playing 5e, I'm sure I would have been like 15th level, whatever class I played. You earn it. And we had character deaths, and character deaths will happen. And it's not that they're inconsequential, they're important, but they're part of the story at that point. When Rob lost his initial character, Rob Conley, it was important. It felt important. It felt striking. You know, it's not the lethality, it's the mindset. Okay? It's the mindset of yes, there are risks. Yes, you got to play safe. You got to play smart. Mm, There's one that's a myth that's kind of like I'm not even sure if it counts as a myth because it's like partially true or it's partially false depending on how you look at it. The OSR is only games based on old school D&D or emulate old school D&D. And I think that one is mostly true, right? But then you have Quasi-OSR or adjacent OSR, DCC RPG. It has the OSR feel, but it's not an OSR rule set. But it is based on D&D, but a later version that it then tried to hack into. So that is what I would consider to be adjacent. Shadow Dark is adjacent OSR. I usually use it. It's like you're one of those car shows showing off the old cars, and you see like a '57 Chevy, and you're like, "Oh my God, that looks awesome!" And then you look under the hood, and it's got like I don't know, 2020 Trans Am engine block on the inside. Is it a '57 Chevy, or is it? Well, what it is something that is to a large part emulating a '57 Chevy, but with a new and improved engine. Now, some people might go, "I want the purr of the old '57." That's fine, but this hack could be a beautiful car and run very well. I happen to like Shadow Dark. Like I said, do I consider it OSR per se? No, it's OSR adjacent. Stars Without Number and Kevin Crawford's whole series of releases. I think they are much closer. If these things are quasi OSR, it is closer than the other two to being a pure OSR. But he throws in skills, and you can see the OSRness to it. You can run old school adventures with it, but it's not 100% OSR. And people are going to argue over this, and that's not a myth, right? There are people that are going to say, "Oh, Zweihander's OSR." Yeah, sure. Okay, well, we can argue this. I would certainly say it would fall under a category of old school gaming. But, and again, you don't have to listen to what I say, and I am not the voice of God. Okay? I am just one quasi knowledgeable opinion amongst other voices in the field. But again, these what I believe are some of the myths. And I figure I have to get the myths out of the way before we can actually start to define qualities that actually make the OSR. So I will leave a link to other videos in this series in the show notes, probably a pinned comment. And listen, which way is it? There, that's a QR code. You can become a member and get these videos earlier than everybody else. People like T. Taylor, Sovereign Wolf, Kurt Gould, they go the extra step to support, but you can support for as little as $1.99 a month, and we truly appreciate it. Folks, like, comment, subscribe. These are your we're not going to agree on everything, especially what the myths are. Tell me what your thoughts are below. Be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice. Roll them well, and I will be back with another video in this series soonish. Sounds good. All right, folks. God bless. I'll catch you later.